Welcome back to Between Two Mules. In the last video, we showed you an introduction to Anypoint Code Builder. Today, we will create API following the lifecycle proposed by MuleSoft. If you want to know more about API Lifecycle, please read the blog mentioned in the description below. API Lifecycle Management is the supervision of an API across all stages from creation to retirement. In this demo, we will begin with the design phase of the lifecycle, starting with designing an API specification. Then we will commit the changes to Design Center to reflect the changes we made, and then publish it to Anypoint Exchange, all from Anypoint Code Builder. Let us begin by navigating to Anypoint platform and opening the Anypoint Code Builder. When you will navigate for the first time, it might take a couple of minutes for you, but since I've already opened it, it will be fairly quickly for me. Once you reach on Anypoint Code Builder, you will be welcomed by this welcome mat. And as you can see, it gives us several options. Let us start by clicking on Design an API, since we want to begin our application with designing an API specification. When you click on Design an API, you will be welcomed by this small window. In here, you can either design an API specification or create an API plan. Today, we will design an API specification. You can write the name of the project, the location of the project, and the API specification language. It gives us several options, ranging from RAML 1.0 to OAS 3.0. When you browse the location of the project, you can create any folder. Click OK. For this, we will use RAML 1.0 and click on Create Project. If you see this window here, just click on Trust the Author. And now you see on the left side, on the Palette Explorer, you will see the name of your app, exchange.json, and your RAML. Now you can start typing in your code, create new projects, create new folders. You can also create folders and define examples. To do that, you can navigate here and either create a new file or a new folder. Let us begin by creating a new folder. You can also create folders and define examples. To do that, let us refresh. Sometimes it does not appear. You can delete any folder that you've created by mistake. In here, you can go in and create a new file. And then refresh once more. You should see a new file here for my example purposes. Okay. Let us refresh once more and we'll see it appear. Let us now start by coding it. I just have to mention the version. If you see, it also has autocomplete. You don't really need to write everything down. Let us now define an endpoint. I'm going to quickly autocomplete the code. In here, we have created two methods, a get method and a post method. In the get method, we will get the ID of a resource, and a post method, we will be able to add an example resource. I'm also now going to define example types. And then for the post example, now we've defined the first app, the example in RAML, and the post example in a JSON. Let us now go and click on API console. When you click on it, you will see a similar interface that we see on Design Center. If we compare this to Design Center, we also find a documentation where we can try our resources and mock our services to see if we are getting the correct output. Let us try our resources. If I click on Get and I do a try it and send a request, we see a similar output that we defined in the resource and that we have mentioned in a Get Resource response. And now, if I go back to the docs and try the post example and send the request, we get a response 200 OK as we've defined. And since we've defined the requested body as JSON, we have to send in a JSON response. So as you can see, in here, we don't really need to navigate to Anypoint Design Center to test and mock our application. We can do it all here, and you can see the summary, define whatever you want to define, see the endpoints, and get an overview of all the methods that we've defined. Let us now navigate back to Design Center. We see this app was already created in the Design Center, but it does not include any of the code that we designed. To sync our changes, we need to do a git add, git commit, and git push. We can do that by going here to the source control. We see that there are 3 changes which needs to be committed. If I close this here, we can see in the test ramble, we have 2 views. On the right, you see the unstaged changes, and on the left, you see the staged changes. Right now, all our changes are unstaged and have not been committed. Similarly for examples and post. To get them to sync to Design Center and commit our changes, we can either click one by one on stage changes. To see all my unstaged changes have been replicated to staging table. But if I don't want to do it one by one, I can also click on the plus sign at the changes, and everything has been staged. If I want to undo any stage changes, I can just click on the minus and it will unstage all the changes. To commit, it is usually a good practice to enter a message, and to do so, we can enter our message here and write first commit and click on commit. Once we do so, all our changes have been committed. And now, to push our changes to the Design Center, we can click on the 3 dots here we see on the source control panel and click on push. Once we click on push, let us navigate back and refresh our Design Center, and we see all of our changes have already been committed here. You see everything is here, and we can see the documentation and try our application. The next step of designing an API spec is to publish our changes to Exchange. To do so, let's go back to our Explorer and type Control-Shift-P if you're on Windows and Command-Shift-P if you're on Mac to open the palette. From here, you can just type publish, and you will see an option to publish an API spec to Exchange. Let us click that. It will then ask you the name of the project. You can set the name of the project. I'm going to keep it same. Press enter. Set the artifact ID. I'm still going to keep it same. Version. You can change version if you need to change, and if you make any changes in the application and you want to change the version, you can always change it. But since it's our first time publishing, let us click enter. And you see at the bottom right, it shows us the status of publishing. Once it is published, it gives us it shows us a notification, API specification successfully published to Exchange. Then it asks if we want to implement the first step. You can choose yes and implement it right now, or you can say no and come back to it to implement it. I'm going to say no and press enter. And I'm going to go back and check on my Exchange if my app has been published. You can see the first step has been published. Now, how do I come back to it and implement an API specification that I previously published to Exchange? To do so, you just have to press Command-Shift-P or Ctrl-Shift-P to open the palette. And then I say, implement an API specification. I click on it. It asks me to type in the details. Let me write first app, browse the location where I want to store it, and then search for my asset in Exchange. You can see our app is published. Let us click on it, click on Add Asset, and Create Project. Click Yes, I trust the authors. And now you see our project has been created, and we can begin implementation. And now we can see all our application right here, along with error handling and our listeners. And refer to the code here and keep building and implementing on top of it. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for more videos.